Okay, I just wanted to share with you what this book is about. Basically, The Swallow's Tale. The Early Years is called. And The Swallow's Tale, the name I got from the flight patterns of the swallow. But traditionally, the habits of the swallow each year, it migrates from the UK in September time to South Africa. So it goes from northern hemisphere, this tiny bird, flocks of them, from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, thousands of miles, and to follow the sun. And then in April of the following year, or spring in the northern hemisphere, it makes the return journey. And that's, I feel, what my life's been about, basically following the sun in terms of going back and forth from South Africa. Now initially, as a young man, I thought going back and forth was such a big thing. It was such an unsettling thing, but I soon discovered that I had a different upbringing to many children, in that I was able to have many adventures and get a broader perspective of life. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the upbringing that I've had. The book is one of two, so this is the first part of a two-part series. And the first part basically is the first 30 years of my life, and it's the early years because it's like if you consider it to be like a stream, like a river, the river of life. The first part is exciting. It's a spring. It goes into rapids, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and adventure that happens. And then in later life, that river meanders more. So the first 30 years were a lot of turmoil, tumultuous, a lot of funny stories, a lot of sad stories as well. But it talks about my hang-ups, about being a little redhead ginger boy from the suburbs of Canton in Cardiff, and then mum and dad taking us over to South Africa when I was very young, about 4 years old, and spending a good chapter of our lives there. And you can imagine this little red-headed boy in the hot South African sun and how you'd have to cope with that, and the funny stories that came from that. Also talks about going back as well when I was 9 years old, staying in Cardiff for another 3 years, and then Dad getting unsettled again, and then coming back again when I was 12, back to South Africa, and then staying 8 years. So a lot of funny stories in between, a lot of poignant stories. There's a lot of nostalgia, and it was really cathartic to write the book, to tell these stories of times gone past. You know, you talk about nostalgia. They say nostalgia is not what it used to be. But this book takes us right back. I like to sort of describe it in a way that you can actually be there. So I describe all the senses, the smells, the sounds, the songs that were played. You know, I think I always go back there when it comes to songs. It resonates so true to me when you know, if you can remember a song from a certain era, it takes you right back. Smells as well. That's another good thing I talk about in the book, is how smells have got the incredible way of taking us back right in time. Just incredible. Also in the book, I talk about the spiritual thread that I mentioned in the previous video, and this fine thread weaves its way right through the book, and it reflects my journey of being a young Christian boy through mum and dad, to getting disillusioned with Christianity. Not to say that it's wrong, but just to say that for me it didn't feel right, and finding another way, which gave me a lot of guilt, I must say. Initially I had a lot of guilt coming away from Christianity, but then I found a new way, beautiful way, which is discussed in the book, and I came about that at a certain point in my life, after having grown up in a Christian house. I wouldn't say we had a strict Catholic type house. It wasn't that. It was very relaxed atmosphere. But growing up in that way, I always wanted to experiment with alcohol and the naughty things in life, and I did. And my 20s were kind of a blur. I did well in my job, but I was always out drinking and partying and being silly, and almost ruined my life at some point. And did some really, really stupid things. Things I'm not proud of, and things that I'm quite ashamed of, but I've written about them just the same, because I believe in that honesty, and it was really, really needed. I needed to do that. But I got to a point where I'd finished in a relationship with a girl. Things just didn't seem right. I didn't know the way forward. I'd come to a dead end. I thought, I don't want to go back to Christianity, it doesn't seem right. I'm not happy in the way that I was living. So what next? What next for me? So I knew that by fasting and by praying at the same time that I would get answers. So I fasted for 3 days solidly. And shortly after that I had amazing results. Results that I couldn't have made up. I couldn't have planned. It was just absolutely incredible. Life-changing as well. And that's where the second half of the book really kicks in. That the astonishing changes in life that occurred after that. But I think give this book a go. It's a good read, even though I'm quite biased in saying so. But it'll make you smile, and hopefully it'll make you shed a tear as well, as to identify with the stories that I've been through. But I look forward to you reading it. And I'll say goodbye for now.